You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible. Bring in Dr. Colita Nichols Fairfax. She heads up the 2019 commemoration of the first African landing in Virginia. She joins us right now. Dr. Fairfax, how you doing?
I'm great, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. I wanted to take this and segue into you because, again, it's one thing to have events commemorating what took place. But I believe, and that's why one of the things that we're going to be doing is that we're going to have this segment every week where we are unpacking 1619 to 2019, because I think we have to reframe this in a much different way to really get people to understand the depths by which race has impacted this country and how we have been degraded, but also how we have to have a reprogramming of ourselves. And I think doing this is a part of that reprogramming effort, because frankly, there are a whole bunch of black people who are walking around, and I'm sure Greg knows it when students come into his class. I experienced it when I was in the African American Studies class with Dr. Broussard at Texas A&M. There's a whole bunch of black folks who are utterly clueless about our own history in this country.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the 1619-2019 commemoration, which took place in Hampton, Virginia, was about recognizing, paying homage to those Africans who disembarked the ship White Lion, which landed at Point Comfort, present-day Hampton, and not the Jamestown settlement, which had always carried the credit for African people stepping off the boat there. I think it's really important, however, that we start at the beginning, as I've always told people when we've been working on this commemoration, that African people were seafaring African. We explored. We were involved in the discovery of other cultures. We were the ancient people. You know, Malians were seafaring African. We know that there were Africans who also explored what is called Central America now and South America. We know there were Africans who settled in present-day St. Augustine, Florida. So I think it's incredibly important that we do not start the African story 1619. 1619, however, carries a particular connotation for the settler colony, which would become America, because Virginia was a colony and Florida wasn't. And so hence we have Africans disembarking the ship White Lion at Point Comfort and then walking into an English-trained paradigm. So I think that's really significantly important to highlight.
And what do you plan on doing? Or do you have things planned for the course of the year, going beyond just that moment last week?
So, thank you. So the state has a commemoration commission. The city of Hampton, which I co-chair, is a commemoration commission. And we do not have, moving forward, planned activities. It really is going to be up to the public to come together to continue with a cultural reckoning. And so the commemoration, which occurred last weekend, was a conglomeration of the National Park Service, City of Hampton, a grassroots organization, Project 1619, and the state. I think, though, it's important as we move forward that we engage more critically with discussions with regards to our cultural reckoning, and then keeping the focus on our African ancestors. It's not just about the birth of America, and that's the way, unfortunately, that the state has framed the commemoration. It is about coming to terms with our Africanity and understanding African culture as we move forward and reclaiming who we are as people of Africa.
Well, and I think it's obviously the impact we've had on this country, but I think it would be absolutely ludicrous for folks not to deal with the negative impact, what it has meant, not just to those first 20 odd Africans, not just to the millions who came after that, but really how there was a clear and precise systemic degrading, demoralizing, and destruction, physically and mentally, of people of African descent. And one of the reasons why we're going to do this weekly segment, for instance, I don't think people understood that initially through the research, black people were initially allowed, there were no issues with voting. But that was a decision that was made later. Folks who were African descent, there were folks who were actually reading for those laws. And so I think we need to, so we're gonna be walking folks through that history to get them to understand on like that this is the actual history, not his story. And that's why I think, look, again, we can spend next 400 years unpacking that, but too many of us are walking around, to me, completely unarmed with the right information to combat what's happening present day. Your final thoughts?
You are absolutely correct. I think though it's also important to note that with 1619, we find what John Henry Clark has taught us, the birth of a plantation-based, race-based civilization that the world had never known. This is incredibly important. 1619 is the start of an American brand of racism, an American brand of white supremacy, and it has untold discussions that we should funnel around what really happened to those Africans after they were here. So many of them, we don't know what occurred to them. That should resonate with us. I think we should also be clear that all the focus is around this woman named Angela, who disembarked the second ship treasurer, and she was taken to the Jamestown settlement, and we have no idea what happened to her. She was by herself. So we can make parallels between 1619 and today. We do need fuller discussions. We need fuller training discussions. I think your work, Mr. Martin, is completely important. I do hope you will have this discussion every week, because there needs still to be a commemoration of our own.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We certainly appreciate all the work that you've done. We're going to do that. So if there are folks you want to send us their names, do so, because, again, we're going to do it every week. And what the hell is my show? If I want to do it twice a week, I can do that, too.
That's right. And I appreciate the opportunity to serve. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Back to our panel just for a few more minutes of this. Again, when you take, again, I go back to you take the blackface and Governor Kay Ivey. When you take laws that have been signed, when you take what's happening in Florida where we use the power of the ballot to get Amendment 4 passed, and the Republicans still try to come up with another way to deny folks formerly incarcerated the right to vote. When you look at folks who were Jewish, who were critical of Angela Davis and blocked a black Civil Rights Institute from awarding a black woman, a native of Birmingham, with that award, it's also important for us to understand how we also maximize our power. And when I hear people say, well, Roland, you keep talking about voting, I say it's not just voting. It's what we do after the vote. It's not just getting the Civil Rights Institute built. It's then what do we do after it's built? It's not just saying, oh, my God, it's great and wonderful at the Smithsonian. National Museum of African American History and Culture is the most trafficked museum of all Smithsonian museums. But the question then becomes, what is happening on the other end of Capitol Hill? And are we trafficking at that museum, then leaving that and dealing with the people who are representing us in the halls of Congress?
Absolutely.
I think it's pushing us to, again, expand our boundaries, to understand that there's so much work to be done and somebody has to do it.
And I wish you included Obama in there, because people acted like, you know, once we get Obama, everything is going to be rosy and rainbows and kittens everywhere, but there was still work to be done. You know, it's not just about electing one person. You've got to hold him or her accountable. It's about not allowing your vote to be taken for granted. I am a hardcore Dem, but I'm not going to just give you my vote because you have a D in parentheses on the ballot box. I want to hear you speak to my issues. I want to hear you take my community seriously. Absolutely. I want you to know that you have to work just as hard for my vote as you have to for the so-called white working class that abandoned us for Trump.
No, you're right. I mean, Sis Jefferson, you said it earlier. I mean, we have to take some of the responsibility in this. I mean, we have to begin to think collectively. You know, the psychologist Wade Nobles once said, you know, power is the ability to define reality and have other people accept your definition as if it were theirs. So, I mean, individuals, not only do we have to convince you for your vote, we have to convince the blocks of our people. I mean, nothing happens in civil rights Birmingham, nothing happens with Shuttlesworth and King if not for the organization of the Montgomery Improvement Society, Montgomery Improvement Association, and the black women like, Joanne Robinson and them down at Alabama State. Nothing happens in Alabama if not for the Selma Equal Voting Rights League and the people like the Boyntons, Amelia Boynton, who just passed away at 104 years old. Individuals can make some change, but it is collective people that make change. And if we can get that hard reset you talk about, Roland, what Colita has said really will come to pass. We will rethink, and then we can move collectively. Yeah.
Joseph, we discussed it yesterday. We can discuss it again. Montgomery, 60% black. They've never had a black mayor.
Wow.
Hopefully.
No, first of all, we had it yesterday, but even with that, there were like 10 black people running.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, no.
So the reality is that black folks could have actually elected a black mayor without a runoff.
No question.
If you didn't have 10 black folks who were running, same thing happened when the sister ran in St. Louis, when a whole bunch of men wouldn't drop out.
Yeah.
The point I'm making there is it's understanding power and how you use it. And to think that Montgomery, 60% black, and you've never had a black mayor, crazy.
Well, you look at all the votes around the Black Belt, from eastern Texas to southern Virginia. That is the concentration of African Americans. We see lack of representation in Mississippi, lack of representation in Alabama, lack of representation in Louisiana. I mean, there is no accident that this is occurring. But it is about us, and it's on us to collectivize and to understand that this is where it's at. This is where we have our power base, and we can make real and substantive changes if we get to that point.
All right, folks, back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. November 7th through 11th, I want y'all to roll with me to Cabo, folks. We're going to have a great time. Life Luxe Jazz experience. Top-notch music, unbelievable food, libations. Y'all know I don't drink, but y'all can go ahead and drink. And, of course, golf, spa, wellness, all that good stuff at Omnia Day Club Los Cabos, nestled on the Sea of Cortez in the celebrity playground of Los Cabos, Mexico. We're going to have a great time. I'm one of their ambassadors. Of course, it's going to be an amazing. All these jazz artists are going to be performing, folks, over the 4 days, which is crazy. Mark Curry, he's going to be actually the host of all of this thing. Then, of course, you have my frat Gerald Albright, Alex Bouillon, Raul Madon, Incognito, Kirk Whalum, Average White Band, Donna McClurkin, Shalea, Roy Ayers, Tom Brown, Funky for Jamaica, Ronnie Laws, and Ernest Quarles. It is an unbelievable schedule, folks, of concerts every single night. You don't want to miss this. Package is starting at $1,300 and going all the way up to more than $2,000, depending upon, of course, the hotel you're staying at. And so we're going to be broadcasting Roland Martin Unfiltered that Thursday and Friday from the location there. And so I want you to come hang out with us. And also, my birthday is like a few days later, so we can actually make it a birthday party and a jazz experience. So for more details, go to lifeluxejazz.com, LIFELUXE jazz.com. It's going to be a great time had by all. Trust me, packages are running out. We want you to get there. And so we're going to have a fabulous, fabulous time. And you know what? I might even crack out me a Kente linen short set. I'm just saying.
Oh, short set.
I might crack out the Kente linen short set. We'll see. We'll see what we do. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.